Well, hello and welcome back to Red Room. It has been a very long time. I didn't quite expect it to be this long, but that's just how the cookie crumbled. So I changed jobs. I'm no longer a gardener. I'm an IT apprentice. That means I work from home all the time. And I thought that would actually give me loads more time to get on and do modelly stuff. But the small snag is that I get a lot less holiday in the private sector than I did in the public sector. So unfortunately I don't have quite as much time to devote to this, even though when I do I'm not so exhausted and I can feel my arms when I'm painting. They don't go numb anymore due to the joys of repetitive strain injury. But unfortunately it has massively slowed my productivity. So this project, which I hoped I would be able to get out reasonably quickly into the new year, ended up taking more like 8 months. But never mind, it's been one hell of a learning process, both with my new job and with this project. I've certainly put a lot of effort into learning how to do non-metallic metal, and I think it has paid off. Object source lighting, all of this sort of thing as well. And I really wanted to make my bases look a lot more exciting because I think that's the weak spot of my game. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial. It's going to be primarily looking at the bodywork of the Beastmen, so the fur, the skin, everything, and also with the bases, because I want to give a good tutorial on how I did, or one of the ways I did the base, because there's some moral dilemmas about some companies out there in the wider hobby world right now, so I wanted to provide an alternative. So I hope you enjoy this. Let's get on and watch the vid. Bye! Well, hello again. It has been a very long time, far longer than I wanted it to be, but this kill team of Beastmen has taken a long time. Inevitably deciding to do non-metallic metal slowed the whole process down a great deal. I'm very pleased with them though, so it has been worthwhile, even though it has dragged on and on. So we're going to first look at how we are doing the bases for these guys. For the vast majority of them I've used rollers from Green Stuff World to make the bases, but there's a bit of controversy around Green Stuff World and everything, so I'm going to show you how the other way to do this. So I'm going to cut out some mesh, just big enough to cover the base. I'll just tidy that up a little bit more and then stick it to the base. So with that cut down reasonably nicely, we're going to use some super glue and some bicarbonate of soda just to make it react instantly, so we haven't got this sliding around all over the place. I'll just leave that to dry a little bit more. Okay, that is now finished, dried. So we're going to get some cardboard. I'm going to cut it to fit. I should have probably put it, stuck it down the other side up, but oh well, never mind. We will be fine, I'm sure. And once that's dried, I will organise this edge a little bit better, and then I will probably build up a lip using more bicarbonate of soda and super glue, and then sand that so that we get a reasonably nice smooth finish between the lip of the base and this cardboard. Okay, so I built up a nice rim of bicarbonate of soda and super glue, sanded it all back, so now we've got a nice, reasonably smooth edge there, unifying the whole thing hopefully. Because this guy's running, he's got this kind of running base, so I'm going to add a lot of debris onto this base so I can seamlessly blend it in. I mean, I am glad for this because these guys have been a nightmare, because with, you know, a very small surface area being provided by the hooves, it's incredibly easy to snap them off the bases, and far too late into the project I realised that I needed to actually drill and pin them to the base, which yeah, that was a mistake, so I'm going to be having to go back and do that with all of them in order to do the fur, or the flesh, or however you want to describe it. I'm going to really water down, or dilute anyway, because we're going to use contrast medium to do this, some Basilicanum grey, Basilicanum grey, Carnum I'm guessing. Yeah, so we're gonna really water this down, because I want this guy to be pretty white, with the exception of this little vestigial mutated arm here that's the work of Slanesh, that I want to do a nice purple, I think. Just as you will see in the showcase later on, I do have another white Beastman, goat, however you want to describe him, Ravager, but as he's more of a Siege kind of guy, I've gone with a blue tinge to him. So yeah, I want to introduce some purple around this limb, but the main body's going to be white, or white-ish, so I don't want to go too hard, because I felt that I did with the other one. I felt that I made him a little darker than I wanted to, or at least his shaggy bits, as it were. So, using a very small amount of this grey. I'm not sure there's any other paler greys in the contrast paints range, which is a bit of a shame, because it might seem a bit too subtle, but that's the trouble with white, it's very easy to go overboard and wreck it. Yeah, I think we're going to just do that for now. Might add a little bit more in. Hopefully you can see that, but it is very pale, but that's good. That's good. Just want a bit of definition to build on. And if I deem it to be too weak, we will go back over it. So you can always just build depth by doing multiple coats. Okay, hopefully that is visible. I am pleased with the level of shading we've created using that very washed out grey contrast, so we're now going to start doing the highlights. And we're going to start with pure white, because there's not really anywhere else for us to go above that, so we're going to have that as our absolute highlight, and then we're going to blend gradually these two colours. So we're going to now start blending these white highlights with the rest of it to make a nice seamless gradient, hopefully. So because we don't want to go absolutely crazy and overwhelm our very pale colours, we are going to use some light grey from Vallejo. And we're going to use some white from AK Interactive. I'm really liking AK Interactive paints at the moment. I've just got the NMM Gold set and I think they're excellent. Nice and thin. So we do not want a lot of grey. Even a little bit will probably overwhelm it. So the annoying thing is that a lot of greys dry darker than they go on, so you have to be patient, because what looks quite pale to start with may suddenly be too dark. So just working in between the light bits. So we're now going to go and do another coat of this, slightly darker. So even that may still be too dark. And so on and so forth until we get this finished. Okay, we are now going to just deal with some other little detailing bits of the body, such as the horns. So this is some green brown from Vallejo. We're going to use this to block in the hooves and the horns. We're now going to put on some Bugman's Glow to pick out things like the muzzle and the ears and the palms. I'm a little bit concerned that there's too much white on this model. But we may be able to fix that by adding the purple in, the pinky purple that we intend to use for this mutant arm we've got going on. I'm going to just do the entire mouth, the whole thing in Bugman's Glow to start with, and we will worry about picking out more detail in a minute. And then we're going to add a bit of corn red, which is very thin paint from Citadel. Oh, we're going to add that into the Bugman's Glow. We're going to use this for scars and anywhere where we've got sort of strange implants going in. So like on his bicep. Now we're going to add a bit more Bugman's Glow into that. That's just to pick out details. Now we're going to get some more white. It doesn't really matter as long as it's white. Even then, in fairness, for some of this it doesn't actually have to be white, it just needs to be light enough, but for blending into the actual flesh, the fur, we do need to have white, so I'm just going to add that in. I think it's time to do the purple arm. So, I think we'll start with some of this T'Challa lilac, which clearly needs to be mixed up very well. We want something reasonably light to mix in with the white body. I want there to be a transition from the supposedly natural to the unnatural with his third arm, so let's, yeah. I'm going to get some more white as well. I'm just going to introduce a hint of this lilac, which is from Citadel as well, I didn't say that. Now we've got to be careful because we've got a lot of dark recesses that we don't want to obliterate with this lighter shade, but we can deal with that. I'm not worrying too much about the details on the actual arm because thank you, because we will deal with that separately. And now we're just going to introduce a tiny bit more. And a bit more. And we're just going to introduce a little bit of Cacophony purple, again from Citadel. Just wet blending it in to the hands, the fingers rather. We'll leave that to dry for a little bit and then start actually applying some proper detail to it. So hopefully you can see his lilac hand. I also realised I'd missed out his added pectoral muscle, because you can't have an arm without one of them, so I added a bit of lilac into that as well. I'm now going to return to what's left of my old friend. Good old Majos purple, which if you've watched the Big E videos, or the Chaos Big E videos anyway, you'll know that this got used extensively. So, and also, yeah, thinking about it, my other half's kill team too. So I'm quite pleased I've still got some of this left. Now we won't need much. And again, some contrast medium. because we don't want to go too hard with this. And yeah, I got to give a shout out to Artis Opus. I've been using their brushes since Christmas, and yeah, I'm very impressed. I have abused them. I can't say that I've treated them very well necessarily at all, but they've done really well. They've held up. I'd still really like Rosemary & Co, and I think for the price and everything, they may be the overall favourites, but no, these have been really good, and the dry brushes are cool. So mixing the contrast medium into that, diluting that down, and just putting it over recesses. And we're going to really dilute this just to paint onto the chest. Hopefully, you can see we have a nice purple limb. Now while we wait for that to dry, let's deal with these wires that we've got going in and out of him. So we're going to use some electric blue from Vallejo. Still working through that backlog. I've also used some intermediate blue to pick out the metal trim bits of these cables, but as I'm not going to be dealing with the metal in this tutorial, because frankly I still don't know enough about non-metallic metal to really feel like I'm imparting anything to anybody, so we're going to ignore that. But I do want to pick out these wires. I will return to you once this arm is dried. I'm now going to pick out the fur on this purple appendage. I think for that we're going to use some purple from AK Interactive. This comes with the gold NMM set from AK, and it's very good. I haven't used much of the purple myself because I'm not too sure how to deploy it, but yeah. So we're going to just pick out the fur. And we'll leave that to dry and then start adding highlights.
This is the view from Red Room.
And while we wait for it to dry, let's get out some green brown from Vallejo. Start working on these hooves and horns. We're going to mix in some ice yellow from AK Interactive, another member of the gold NMM set. We're going to go up a size and use a 0 Artis Opus S brush. And mixing those together, we're going to start highlighting these horns. And then moving down to the hooves. And we're just going to paint very again, very sloppily at the moment, but just vertically, because we want to pick up all these sort of grooves. And yet again, getting ever lighter towards the tips. We are going to have to sort something out around these bulgy bits because they need to be defined properly. But I don't want to undermine the transition at the moment. I think we will define them by going darker instead. And much the same again, just even, more careful and even. We're just going to go down. We're going to only put this highlight in at the bottom third of the hoof. We're now going to get some wildwood contrast paint. And again, our good friend contrast medium. We're hoping this may solve our dilemma with how to deal with those bumpy bits at the base of these horns, but we'll see. It'll help if it doesn't solve the whole thing. And yeah, we're diluting this. And we're just going to apply it to the horn. And the same for the hooves. Let's do the fur on this purple arm. Previously we used this purple from AK Interactive. Oh, I'm tempted to use some magenta. Some fluorescent magenta. We'll see. Just want to make this look nice and garish and unnatural. So mixing a bit of this into this. I'll see whether or not that works. I think we're already neatening up off camera where I can position it better. I think that is done. And to be honest, I think that's it for the body part of this tutorial, because the rest of it I am going to omit from the guide, because as I say, I am not an expert on non-metallic metal yet. I also don't want this guide to last, you know, hours. And yeah, I think you want to see the showcase. So we will get back when we're at the point that we're ready to stick this guy on his base. It's all nice and primed now, and then we will yeah, blend him in seamlessly with that, hopefully. So see you then. So let's stick him to the base. But then it occurs to me we need to pin him, because I'm not going to rely on just this small surface area to keep him stuck to the base. So we will get our wonderful magical drill. And we'll try and be careful and aim for the hoof. Drill ourselves in a little hole so we can put a pin in. I don't think I want to chance it any more than that, because I fear I may go through the actual top of the hoof. So we now need to get ourselves a paper clip. So I'm going to butcher a paper clip for this. Very useful things, paper tips for modelling. Right, and we certainly won't be using our lovely new God Hand snippers for this, not a chance. These very old Citadel ones will have to do. And we don't want this to be massively thick. It just needs to provide a little bit extra than just sticking it onto the base rather, which do. Oh goodness, well, that belongs to the ages now. Let's try and do that in a more controlled style. There we go. Technique. So yeah, we end up like that. Go, a little bit of resistance, but we're all good. And while we wait for that to dry a little bit more, I missed out doing the wires that are protruding from this guy's flesh, so let's finish that off. So we're going to get our good friend Electric Blue from Vallejo out, and we already have white available, and we're just going to go over most of these wires, just leaving the recesses darker in the classic style, and adding some more in, and this very last bit here. So to add some interest to the base, I'm going to add some wire. I was going to do some sort of cabling using green stuff, but then I thought, well, I've got all this armature wire from when I bought a project at the beginning of the year, so why not use it? And we can use it to represent sort of twisted bits of, yeah, not only cabling but just sort of structural, yeah, steel or whatever you want to call it. So I've cut one little tiny piece, which is very, very small. I'm going to stick that on there. Probably get a bigger bit as well. Thankfully this stuff is a lot easier to cut than the paper clips, but then at the same time wouldn't offer anywhere near the support. And yeah, I'll probably stick some more grit onto this as well, just to cover up the join. But let's bend this a bit, nice and twisted and all over the place. That's the base primed, and now we're going to paint it. So we're going to start off with this big pile of rusty debris in the centre here, and Luna has her opinions on that. And we're going to use some Hull Red from AK Interactive. I'm using a bigger size 1 Artist Opus Series S brush. Doesn't really matter because you don't have to be quite as careful with this stage of things. Yeah, we're just going to paint all of this. I could probably go up a size really. And we'll leave that to dry. All dried now, so we're going to get some Wild Rider Red. Apply it to this texture palette here. And we're fortunate enough to have the dry brush set. So we're gonna utilise this little excellent little spongy thing to try and keep some moisture in the brush. Gotta be honest, I still don't get this technique properly, not going to lie. It will do for the base. I don't want to take too much off of this because this is just our first coat anyway. Well, it would be rude not to use some rust from Vallejo, so that's what we're going to use. And this time we're going to cover less than we did before, but still applying quite liberally. And then the very last thing we're going to do is go over it all with some light orange. I'm not going to clean my brush because I'm not actually concerned about it all blending in too much. That's actually kind of ideal. Just going to come in with some Skaven Blight Dinge. Can't at all tell how much time was spent on the swords looking at this, can you? So I'm not going to use a dry brush for this, I'm just going to go out and pick out any of the edges I think might still be retaining some little element of still looking like metal spots. But also going and picking out bits of this mesh that we feel may not have actually succumbed to the rust yet. And we're going to go a bit lighter. With the confusingly named Intermediate Blue from Vallejo. And then going one lighter still with some light grey. And the very last thing we're going to use is some pale grey blue, again from Vallejo. And this really is for just highlighting edges. And I'm going to focus on the rest of the base. We're going to do that by painting it dark Prussian blue. A lot of this I'm going to sort of cover up what I've just done and then kind of reintroduce it, which is a bit pointless. I should have probably painted this bit first, but well, never mind. Okay, I'm waiting on one specific bit of this to dry, which is taking an obscene amount of time, but never mind. We're going to paint a little hazard stripe on this because nearly every base has had a hazard stripe, so forgive me, yes, we're using some Avalanche Sunset from Citadel because it's a very good base coat for yellow. It covers well. And while we wait for this never-ending wet patch to dry, we're going to just add a little bit of black into the Prussian blue. And then around the edges we're going to use some royal blue. So now we're going to to take some of this black and we're going to do the stripes. Just roughly sketch these out. Yep, I think that's a pretty good first draft for these stripes. You have to accept when you're doing this kind of thing that there's going to be corrections to make. Right, let's make these hazard stripes a little brighter and a little bit more exciting to look at. So we're using Deep Yellow from AK Interactive. Okay, we're going to use some Sand Yellow now from AK Interactive. Still refusing to change this white palette. I'm just going to mix that in with this nice deep yellow and give us a little highlight. We're going to highlight the top of the stripe, but we're going to leave the bottom because I'm going to add some more interest there, hopefully. I'm going to add a little bit of white as well, I think, because I don't know if this is quite light enough. And we're going to mix some deep orange in to the deep yellow. Not too much of this, I just want a little bit of warmth. We're going to use some of our favourite, the Fang from Citadel. So we're going to just pick out the edges of these black hazard stripes. And yeah, again we're going to blend this in as well, so adding black in and then just, yeah, reinstating the black in the middle. I think we're at the point now where I'm going to use some pigments and some effects. So, I'm going to use some brown iron oxide from Fellgor pigments. We're going to use some old rust as well. These come in a set, or I'm pretty sure you can purchase them separately. Alright, let's find a brush we're not too bothered about. I'm just going to apply this reasonably liberally. Just want to recreate the overspill, because obviously all this stuff sitting there rusting is going to affect the stuff that it's rusting onto. And I find these pigments create an effect you can't really replicate easily with other things, because they just cling, they sit into crevices nicely because they're powder. Alright, let's give us a little bit lighter stuff with the old rust. But yeah, I really like them. But you need to make sure you fix them. You can do that just with water or varnish or whatever, but be careful if you're airbrushing with them not fixed, because you could just watch them just disappear on you. Now we might just do a little bit of this rust wash. Just here and there. I have no real plan. I never do really have any plan, to be fair. But I'm just going to apply this where some of the transitions between metal and rust are a bit jarring, and this will hopefully make them a little bit more smooth and subtle. I might use some light rust now as well, actually. I'm quite pleased with how that's come out. Alright, let's leave that to dry. And the very last thing is just painting this rim of the base, and then we are done. Hooray, hooray, hooray! Right, I think we are basically there now. So we're going to get more Skaven Blight Dinge. I'm gonna find somewhere to put it. I need a bit more of that. Very patchy first coat. We'll sort that out. Well, I'm hoping you can see that. But there we go. I'm going to say that that is done now. I'm going to get them varnished. And the next thing will be the showcase of all of them. And that ends, yeah, almost 8 months worth of work. Hooray! I'm ecstatic. Right, well, I will catch you in the next one. Bye!